I do.
You know what keeps coming up into my awareness from my clients, as well as you and I talking about it, is that we're in this in-between place, or in this big pause place.
Okay,
And
I can bring that up.
yeah, obviously not everybody is experiencing this, because some people are, experiencing a lot of change, like their relationships are breaking up, or they're quitting their jobs, or they're starting a new business, or they're moving, so not everybody is experiencing this in between or this pause, experience, but most of us are.
So, okay, so I'm hearing on hold, on hold, on hold. Now, here's what they're saying. You made some reference about people that are moving forward in like ending relationships or things like that. But here's what I'm getting with that. And this would be interesting if this is happening with anybody, because I'm getting that it may get started, but the finishing will not happen until after like this month is kind of what I'm getting. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So like the process could start of the thing, and you might get massive creative ideas. You might start the thing, and then you're thinking, why is this so, they just said plodding along. Why is it plodding along? Does that, okay, they just said no finalizing of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm picking that up as well, that that there's a purpose to this in-between place, and that purpose involves a lot of integration, and for some people processing and releasing. It feels like, at least for me, that my processing releasing phase, it kind of stopped for a couple of months. Yeah. And now it's back again.
Okay, and you know what I'm getting? Oh my God, does this make any sense? And this kind of is where I'm at a little bit. Repeating certain things again during this time.
You mean like repeating or processing the same thing? Yes. So we're going down the different loops of the spiral. So we're going deeper than we were before.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense with all the stuff I've told you about with me processing, well, and just for the audience's perspective, processing, do I stay here and be patient and do this thing? Or do I just go, no, going over here and then make the thing happen? Well, you know what they just said? Okay, so check this out. So this, with respect to what I just showed you with me, they're showing a huge wall. Like, okay, I'm here. If I go over here, I would just hit this big wall. Like, I can't do that either. Does that make sense?
We're not meant to be doing anything.
No,
we're meant to be in our beingness right now. That's the feeling. It's like nothing's moving forward because it's not meant to be moving forward at this time. And yeah, I agree with you that this month in general is going to be more a month of being within ourselves, letting go of even deeper issues around the same issues that you've been releasing and processing this whole last year. So
and you and I both are perfect examples of that, with the things that we've talked about that we're going through, and like, as we know, my stuff has all come back up, or like just in the last few days, but just as I thought, yes. And same with you, Celeste, just as we thought. Now think about this, and I'll bet you other people can relate to this. As January was kind of like, ooh, we're going in the new energy. Oh, progress. Oh, look at this. Oh, wow. And then boom, all of a sudden we hit this kind of like okay, they just said slow down, stand still. Okay, hold on. I'm getting stuff. So they said to reintegrate, to revisit, and to revise.
Ooh, I'm getting chills with the revise statement. That resonates so much. But that makes sense though, doesn't it? Because how can we create a life, an even better life, unless we revise, unless we process even deeper than ever before, so that we can revise into even more of who we really are?
Completely. And here's what they're saying. They're showing a racetrack. They're like, do you have any idea? I'm not channeling directly this time. I'm paraphrasing. Do you have any idea how humans have moved down the path thinking they're done with things, then they skip past all this, like they're blazing and they don't see. Okay, so here's the metaphor they're giving, and this is like if you are a biker or a runner, and I've had this where you're going past all the scenery, you don't see anything. You're just focused on the thing, right? When you walk, instead, you see everything around you. So the pace at which we are dealing with things typically in humankind is counterproductive. And so what's happening to us is we're required in this ascension journey, they just to slow the down. And this is, and so we think, so I'm getting to a point here. So we think that during January and whenever that, here we go. We've gotten it all that done now, because we're always brought back, and we're very much being brought back right now to look at the inside of us, of what we have been processing, are processing. And we have to see it again, because we go too fast as humankind. We think we're done with stuff when we haven't even really looked at it.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree. And I experienced that this week as well, realizing that if I really want to move forward in a more productive way, I have to slow down enough to look at the deeper issues. Because we don't get to skip over that part anymore. We've been doing that for eons as human beings, and this is not that time, and that type of lifestyle is coming to an end.
Yes, and I'm going to give you an example of what just happened to me last night. Okay, so we're pretty good at leaning into our emotion and the stuff that shows up, right, and just dealing with it rather than stuffing it away. So last night, I had all this stuff come back up again. It started to poke in that I've been dealing with over the last 4 or 5 months. Insecurities, all of this. And I thought, doubting, not trusting, questioning. And I thought, and it's all a result of an activity that I did, or as you know, and then I started doing the thing, and I thought, no. I started feeling emotion, and I thought, no, we're not going there again. We're not going there again. So guess what I did? I turned on 70s rock music. I started dancing around the room, singing, everything. I cracked open a bottle of wine. Yes, I did. I had a glass of wine because, and then check this out. I thought, I'm just going to be happy, joyful. I'm going to just focus right here. I'm going to do fun things. But guess what I did? That may sound like the right way to have handled things. Because what I did was I did the thing that we do in humankind so often. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. I'm not doing that again. I've already done that. I'm past that. No, you're not, Carolyn. No, you're not, because that's why it's here. But guess what you're doing? You're turning on 70s rock music, being joyful when you're not, when you kind of need to look at this. You're drinking some wine too, because guess what? You're trying to hide that thing. And also, so then you go focus on something else and you ignore that. Well, guess what happened this morning? It all came back to me, and I, in a good way, in a healthy way, where I was like, that was not supposed to happen last night. That was the turning of the head. Ignoring what's in front of you. And that's what we've done for so long. Stuff down the human emotions, stuff down all the things we're supposed to be looking at and dealing with. And so I had to deal with it this morning. As you well know, I just did a whole rundown of what my morning was like. And I'm not done dealing with it.
We're not done. I have a feeling that this whole month is going to be this cycling just through everything over and over and over again until we get to the deepest part of it and really process and let go.
So I just heard, this is so frustrating, particularly for an Aries. So, because I'm, Aries are just super action oriented. Don't expect to get anywhere.
No, that's right. Don't expect to get anywhere. This is not the month for that. I really feel like once we hit the spring equinox, that's when things are going to shift and change more into the action.
Okay, they just validated that, said blazing saddles.
Yep. And that just came through, by the way, because I was not expecting to say that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Out.
Oh my God. Okay, so check this out. This lines up directly. They just brought this back to my awareness. This lines up, we're talking about the Equinox, Blazing Saddles, lines up with the channel that I did. Oh God, it's the last couple channels I did where I brought through an energy update. But they showed us going to the mountain in the snow. We had all our coats on. Big, okay, and it's the collective. We're all going to the mountain. The light workers are leading the way. And then suddenly, the last time they showed this, and again, they're talking through like spring, but they showed us taking all of our coats off, and we're like, now we're moving to the mountain that we're climbing. And this is tying to the equinox. Okay, does that make sense? Like our momentum increases.
Yes.
They just said because you're in the Aquarian energy, but okay, sorry, I'm just going to keep going here for a second. So they're saying because you have to get used to the Aquarius age energy. Okay, I'm talking Aquarius age. I'm not talking Aquarius February energy. Aquarius age energy that you came from where you came out of in the end of last year. This is why we're having this time now in February before we get to the equinox to then move into more of the Aquarian age energy. Does that make sense?
You know what I keep hearing is final clearing, final cleanup.
Okay, I just heard something else. During this time, don't expect connection with those you typically would have had connection with, or that you have expectations of having connection with, because we tend to think, well, we're the only ones in this journey. Nobody, individually, right? Like, well, then everybody else should be behaving like they're supposed to behave based on our expectations. No, they're going through the same thing. So this is very, they're saying not isolated, but they're showing
a very individual process. Yes. And so I can't tell you how many of my clients are like, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't want to see my friends. I don't want to see my family. Is there something wrong with me? And I'm like, no, there's not anything wrong with you. This is the process. And we're all kind of in this process. A lot of us are just feeling like isolating ourselves, and there's a purpose behind it. So don't discount this pull to isolating yourself from friends and family. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are depressed or anything like that. It means it's just you're in the process. You're in the middle of it. We're not going to get out of this process till after the spring equinox.
Yep. And so I'm hearing holding pattern. And they said stepping backwards in time. They're showing walking backwards, but guess what they're also showing? And if you could see my door, my closet door here, I have the life spiral on it in different little ways. Anyway, point is they're showing it going backwards. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
They're showing it going backwards instead of you start the spiral. Typically, you're starting out here in the labyrinth doing this thing, but they're starting us here and going, I don't know, there's meaning in that, and going backwards.
I feel like what that means is that it will feel to many of us like we're going backwards, it's really difficult because we want to go forwards, especially after last year and how difficult and heavy and isolated we were last year. And it's like, come on, get on with it. We want to move forward. We want something new. We want something different. Especially those of us who really like change, which you and I are very much like that. We've been talking about, why can't things change quickly? So it feels like we're going backwards, but it's not necessarily backwards as much as it's deeper.
Yes, and revisiting. The things that the things that we've turned a blind eye toward beforehand and we thought we were done.
The whole pandemic has really removed a lot of distractions for many of us, and it's allowed us opportunity to really go in and start ruminating on what we want our lives to look like and who we want in our lives and things like that. Even if we're not doing that consciously or every day, because this is very subconscious. A lot of this healing and processing, releasing and integrating is subconscious for many of us.
Yep. But I just heard I just heard the word lockdown. They also are showing me snow. So, okay. So what they're also showing is many parts of and we're talking United States right now, and then the visual they're giving me of the US, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I know this from my looking out my window, have been snowed in so badly that we're adding that to the locked down feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like literally like you are, they just said in a snow cave. I mean, there's all these ways that are happening for us to have to, whether it's for a longer period of time, like with the virus, or if it's a shorter period of time, to really, they just said hunker down. Hunker down into, the depths of who you are, what you have long ignored, and what you have left, to bring forth. And now they're showing like a geyser, like to release the rest of that steam, to release the rest of that before we can move forward. In what I feel, it feels to me like the Aquarius age energy that we've moved into. Okay, they just said will start to release itself. It's kind of like a gradual release is what I'm getting. And for use by humankind, they just said. And that'll happen differently for all of us. But our lives are going to look different. I think if they're going to look different, and I'm not trying to take us there, but literally, we will not recognize ourselves in a few years.
Oh, I fully agree with that. But I want to kind of loop back real quick, because what I was getting as you were speaking is that we cannot avoid taking care of our stuff, this stuff.
No.
We no more. If we are going to enter into the Aquarian age, we cannot ignore this stuff.
Because it's all about this. That's what it is.
All about this.
Yes, it's okay. They just said recreation of us from within that then recreates the outer world, the new earth, the new collective way of being. And that's exactly it. And that's, you just hit on something too, because what that's saying too is why you and I and others, and we're feeling like we're shut down right now, because guess what? Carolyn last night was supposed to feel those feelings, probably sit and cry a whole lot, which I've been doing a lot of over the last 4 or 5 months. But no, I didn't. I faked being super happy. And so I can't do that, because guess what happened this morning? I then got up and went, well, that was not supposed to happen. I actually woke up in the middle of the night thinking that. So that's exactly it. You can't ignore those things. There are remnants of things that we haven't dealt with that will show back up. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's whatever it is,
childhood trauma, past life trauma. I mean, so many of my clients are dealing with it. And it's so funny because so many people are like, I'm sorry, I'm crying. No, please do not be sorry you're crying. Please cry. Cry as much as you possibly can. Whenever something comes up, honor it. It has to come out, has to come up and out. Allow it to do that so that we can move forward and start shedding this heaviness that kind of holds us back from being who we really are.
Yep. So I just heard the words blowback. So blowback will happen if we do, in my example, what I did last night all the time, right? If we turn that blind eye, if we don't do our self-care, we all trip and stumble, but if we're generally working toward that, right? And when we talk about self-care, it's everything. It's how much are you a balanced individual in your work journey versus your personal journey, which is really one journey, right? I mean, are you balanced, or are you overgiving? Are you working in the old ways and the old energies? Are you stuck in those ways? It's this inner journey of who are you going to be moving forward? And the foundation of that is how do you care for your vessel and your mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. Self-care during this time frame is more important than it ever has been before.
And here's what I'm getting. So a lot of people may say, or are also in situations where they're, you and I live alone, right? They're living with other people that all of a sudden it's like, I can't do this anymore, but they stay. It's gonna break wide open. If they've been ignoring this, like a relationship, forget whether they live with them or not. These things are all going to crack apart, and it's going to come. Oh, okay. They just said swift and fast. Okay. If it depends on the work that's been done, but swift and fast. So here's an example. If you're living with somebody who you're not supposed to be living with anymore, partnership, marriage, whatever, just as an example, things are going to start cracking even more, and you're not going to be able to ignore it.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen, I think. I mean, I don't know. Are you getting anything along those lines?
Yeah. So many of my clients have broken up with their significant others because they're done. And they're like, and so many of them are like, I can't believe I stayed this long.
Yes. Or, and the significant others are an example, but all other relationships too, like friendships that may no longer serve you. And, you're just in a different place, but we thought we did that before. Oh, no. We're clearing out. Plus they're showing me this now too. There's another round of, you think you cleaned your house out beforehand? Guess what? I mean,
more purging. Yeah. This is such, I feel like what we're going through right now in this month of February is even more important and valuable than what we went through all last year.
Yeah. And you know what they're showing too? Okay. They're saying, I agree with you. It's okay. They just had the word precursor. What you just said with last year is a precursor to what's happening now. Oh, they just said heavy hitter. The heavy hitting's coming now because of what's left to be done. And this is why we're in they just said status quo mode for this month. And they also said it can be very painful, particularly for those who are super action oriented. Yeah, right. And want change. And so what they're showing is what it's going to feel like for a lot of people, even though these decisions are going to be made, like let's say to leave a partnership or whatever, they're not going to finish up this month. So these things that you want to get done don't feel like they're necessarily going to finish up. And so they're showing a ankle, not an ankle, like an ankle ball and chain.
Yeah.
And you're so desperate to get that thing off. But literally, like right now, when I think about that, I feel like I'm wanting to suffocate because that just feels so like, how do I get through the rest of this month thing? And however long till the equinox, I don't know. I mean, this is very much a February energy thing that we're talking about, I think.
But it's going to creep over into March until the spring equinox, which is what, the 20th or 22nd or something.
Then I just heard it's going to pop.
Oh, yes.
Oh, they just said new bubble.
I'm excited for that.
I didn't know this was going to turn into an energy update. This is fascinating. So they're talking about a new bubble. It'll pop and then, oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, it kind of, they're talking it's going to pop. You know what I think it is? Okay, I'm just going to say it because we've talked about how we shifted timelines as a collective at the end of the year, and that was another shift. We had one last March that we know of for sure, and that we felt, and that all the energy shifted and changed at the end of 2020 and into the new year. Now we're here into February. I think we're going to do another timeline in the equinox. Or the solstice. Wait, equinox, sorry.
Equinox.
I think something's shifting again.
I definitely feel it. So I feel like the potential is really high that we're going to shift as a collective, but we're not quite there yet. It almost feels like once the spring equinox comes, that is going to determine if we jump timelines again. Okay. It's like how big that pop is going to determine if we jump.
You know what? I have a feeling this is connected to the mountain that I just got done talking about that I saw in the past videos, where we all get to the top kind of in spring. And then what happens from the end of spring, something happens. I don't know if it's an event or whatever, but it may be just energetics, where they show half the mountain going avalanche and we go down it. I saw
that in my mind before you even said it.
What?
I just saw that in my mind.
Okay. Okay, so we come down and they're telling me time-wise we're kind of in June, roughly, or May, June. We're picking ourselves back up. And so I think that might have to do with a timeline adjustment that you're talking about, that kicks off, the equinox kicks off that process. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I also feel like, this is just coming to me, I feel like So when that avalanche on the mountain happens, that it's actually going to speed some things up for people. Like
Oh, I
it
agree.
feels like the energy right now, we're like slowed down, right? We're in the middle of processing, we're isolating ourselves and so forth, like we said. But then at the spring equinox, and how you put it with the avalanche, it's going to be like whoosh. Things are going to open up. Things are going to shift and change pretty quickly for people. I'm getting that for some people, it might be kind of difficult.
Yes, I'm hearing you're not going to know what hit you,
Yeah.
but it's all going to feel, it's very individual, but it's all, okay, this is going to sound funny because you know how things seem to be like the upside down, like you may feel like it's not great that this happened to you, but it is. It like,
Yes.
it's, I mean, I know that sounds
In the
weird.
long run, it will be for your best and highest good, even though in the moment it won't feel necessarily that great.
Yes, and others will experience the opposite, but it's all meant to happen. So what they just said for support purposes, and I think they're going to want to say more, and this is to help understand that we should not fear anything that's coming. They said, we would not have brought you so far to forsake you now.
Yeah.
So what we have to remember is if we look back on our individual journeys and see what has occurred and what has happened and how we've been carried forward to this point, regardless of where we are in our journey, look how you have been carried forward. Like you're in the place you're now. And I realize some people are struggling a lot, but the point is we're really where we need to be. And if we look back in the past of how we've gotten there, I think some people will, when they think about that, will say, oh my God, I never even thought I'd get here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So they're very much saying, trust that process. Know that we will. Okay, I think they want to go into a channeled poem, but go ahead. I'm going to stop there because I'm.
So it feels like by the end of this year, we will look back and not even recognize ourselves compared to at the end of the year compared to now.
Exactly.
Like energetically, we will have shifted so much. It will feel so different. We will have processed and healed and integrated on such a much deeper level than last year.
Exactly. And you know what I'm just now getting is kind of talking a little bit about, okay, so right now in the situation we're in, what are things we need to do for ourselves? So here's an example so I'm super action oriented. I'm feeling frustrated because I'm not able to do the thing that I thought I was supposed to do that's not happening now. And that, I'm just feel like, oh, they just said a bridled horse, the bit, like the bit, how they pull back on the bit and it's like, you can't go, you're not going anywhere. Or the racehorse, now they're bringing the racehorse thing in the, that. So maybe what we can do, and other people are feeling different, but maybe we can talk about a couple things that people can take away that they can actually do during this time to help themselves. So I have one thing I can start with.
Okay, please go ahead.
So this is super hard for me, and I'm starting it as of today, is Carolyn's a thinker, okay? So I'm thinking, I'm in my head all the time. You would think, come from the space of love inside your heart. And I'm starting to realize how that's different from doing the thinking thing. So trying to stay away from overthinking about why is the thing not happening? Why is this other individual not doing the thing? Because remember, we're in a standstill. Why are these things? What do I do? Not forcing things to try to happen, but instead take all that overthinking and take all that energy and bring it inside. Now, it's hard to say how to do that, but I'm actually starting to do that. And it's like, it also has to do with staying in the now moment of what's just right in front of you. Like, for example, what I started to do this morning, because like I said, I overthink and then I'm out here and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm doing all these other things, but I don't even remember doing them because I'm in my head all the time. So I started to, when I ground my coffee this morning, this may seem super simple, but I focused on what it was like to put the beans in the thing, to grind it, to smell it, to use all your senses around the thing you're doing. Now that may sound super tedious, but the more you do it, the more in the moment you're going to be, and you're going to start letting go of all that overthinking. If you're an overthinker, does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And what I would call that is living consciously, right? So how you described grinding your coffee, smelling the coffee, really slowing the process down, at least in your mind, so that you're not always, you're not thinking out here and what you need to do for the day. It's like you're fully present and you're making each step a very conscious step.
Yes, exactly.
And that keeps you in the present now moment.
It does. And it keeps all that, oh, they just said the swirl they said the swirl from infiltrating you. Now, the other thing, the more we can do that and center within ourselves and not sit and obsess, because so many of us live our lives through other people, not obsess about what the other person or people are doing and then create a story around that and do that whole thing that we do and whip ourselves up into a frenzy because we do it all the time. Let that go. Let that other person work. They just said work their own stuff, work their stuff, because energetically it actually assists the whole process as you bring yourself into yourself and you focus on doing the things that are for your higher good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really, so I kind of want to tag on to what you offered about living consciously in the present moment. Is another step you can take is to really ground yourself in your body. So not just grounding yourself to Gaia, but grounding yourself into your body. I think that most of us live from here up. So most of us are in that tornado of thoughts and just kind of swirling around. And that's not helpful anymore. We really need to be in the present moment, but we also need to be fully in our body. Right. And there are lots of yoga nidra techniques that you can use. There's guided meditations that you can use to help you be fully in your body. Once you are grounded in your body, then you can ground to Gaia.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people struggle with, well, what does that even mean? How do I ground myself? There's one thing, and I've struggled with that too. What does that even mean? How do I do that? Well, there's lots of things, but there's one thing I'm thinking of right now that's coming to me. And I don't do this. I don't know why this is here, but anyway, is this taking yourself up here, your energy that's up here. Okay. If you're overthinking and you're out of your body, which most of us are.
Yep.
As Celeste said, and just like bringing the container into you, and do it very consciously, bringing it into, I know the one that I use. I think I've told you I used with clients where I'm doing energy healing. I tether them. I take it's like a string and I tether them from the root to the ground. You can actually visualize yourself doing that, pulling yourself back in. I pull them back into the container, our vessel. Bring yourself all the way down. See yourself move through every single chakra, spend some time there. And then when you're down into the earth, tie it off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I have a similar technique that I use with my clients. And so I have them, and it doesn't take very long at all. I have them focus on their toes.
Oh.
So I do like a 30-second guided meditation where I have them focus on their toes and then the ball of their foot and the arch of their foot and the heel and the ankle. And usually most of my clients, they say, oh, my feet are tingling, or God, my feet feel heavy. And that shows me that they're fully now into their body. And you can make this into a longer process, into more of a guided meditation where you go from your ankle up to your calves and your knees and so forth, all the way up to the top of your head. But the quickest way to do it is to focus on your toes, because it's almost like it sucks your energy right back into your body fully from the tips of your toes to the top of your head.
I love it.
From there, I imagine a cord going from your root chakra all the way down and connecting into the crystalline heart of Gaia, and then tying it off, connecting however you want to visualize it. I say usually like a port,
Yep.
and you're fully connected into Gaia, and then pulling up all of her love and guidance and support right back up through that root or that cord, and then settling right here into your heart space.
And they're talking and saying, so you don't float away. That's that tie off part, right? So I've got another one. This is so funny because these aren't ones I would normally recommend. They're just giving new ones. So what they're saying, of course, I'm the overthinker, so we have to, they're giving me those because apparently I need this help too, right? So they're saying all these thoughts that you have, you're up here, right? You're up here, all these thoughts. And they're saying, take each one and bring it back in. Go get it, bring it back in, bring it back in. And not up here, and I don't know where they're going with this, but
okay.
Bring it back into your heart space. Okay, they're just saying, feel the thought from the place of love, from the inner you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they're talking about transmuting it into a different energy. So, okay, so it's like a bunch of gnats out here, right? But it's like, okay, let's pull them back. Let's pull all those thoughts back into ourselves, because otherwise you're out here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're saying, bring them in, because they're a part of you. It's just, okay, they're saying that what we're doing with that is we're not processing it in the way that is for our highest good. So if we bring it into our heart space, we process it differently. And I don't know what that means, how that would look, but maybe we can talk about that and work from here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That makes sense. And here's what I'm getting about that process is that because so many times, especially for light workers, we're very open. And so a lot of these thoughts are not our thoughts. They don't belong to us. And so when you bring them into your heart space and then you review these thoughts, you can determine from here, is this my thought? Is this helpful to me? Is this in my best and highest good? And then you can let go of some of these thoughts, right?
Yes.
Is this a fearful thought?
Mm-hmm.
Right? As kind of reviewing, and it doesn't even have to take that long.
No, and what they're actually saying, this is a process. To your point, bring that thought, go, wait, I'm obsessing about this. All right, bring it in here. And then they said, process it with love, and then release it, right? Yeah. To your point, release it with love, release it, transmute it, let it go. But it's how you deal with it that's different.
Yeah. Well, so that brings up another piece is that, so in the releasing of it, because if it's not your thought, then very gently just go, this isn't my thought. Bye-bye.
And you'll know when it's in here. You'll know when it's in here, but we can't. It's out here. We don't know.
Yeah.
So we bring this in and we take that and we sit in. And honestly, what I do, because I'm new at this is all new for me. I've lately been bringing it into myself, and I didn't realize I was doing this, and trying to feel it from, they just said a space of unconditional love for the thought that's either yours or not.
Right.
Oh, and actually kind of have a conversation with it.
Yeah. But don't forget, I think this is the key piece, is that having unconditional love for yourself. So if the thought is not helpful to you, if it's painful, if it's a criticism towards you, then definitely let it go.
Yes.
Right? Because if it's not about self-love, then you don't need it. And it probably isn't yours anyway. That inner critic voice is usually, it comes from childhood wounding, from one of our caregivers or a teacher or coach or what have you. And our inner critic, yes, there's a role that it plays, like keeping us safe and all of that, but it can take over. And so many people I know that I work with, it's taken over, and it causes so much pain and heartache. And so using this technique that Carolyn is mentioning, it could be helpful to mitigate the damage that inner critic's voice has, if we can say, is this for my best and highest good? Is this thought coming from a place of love, self-love? If it isn't, then just say, I don't need it.
Right. And in my circumstance, my thoughts, I have a lot of thoughts around a certain situation. Okay. So you may have a whole full-blown situation that's out here you're overthinking, and there's tiny little pieces, fragments that tie to that situation that you then have to bring back into really look at, like, parts of that situation and what you're doing. Because I probably have 4 different things within that situation that are separate, but they create that swirl in my mind, those mind thoughts that I need to deal with separately, honestly.
Right, right.
So it can get kind of complex, but I think this is a great process, but you have to spend the time to do it, and you have to spend the time on yourself. And I think I'm going to actually do that this afternoon.
That's a great idea. I'm glad you shared that technique.
Well, it just came. I mean, they just brought that one in.
I could definitely benefit from it myself.
Yeah, because so often we talk about the standard stuff like get out in nature, ground yourself, right? But so this will help you ground yourself because you're capturing those thoughts that are letting you float out in space, all that mind stuff, and bringing it back in and dealing with it from a different space of, to the point we just made, love, rather than what we do so often when in our heads. We beat ourselves up, we beat the other person up, we talk, it's all very 3D often, right? But when we come in from in here, it's a different perspective, is what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, using your heart chakra as a filter.
Yep. And as we know, during this time when we're on hold and snowed in and COVIDed in, and whatever else is causing you to like feel like you're at a standstill, what better time to deal with this stuff? And here's another thing. I just want to share this. A lot of this is having to do with kind of where I'm at with things. Some of us, me included, are the kinds of processors, meaning how we process this stuff, where we have to talk it out.
Yes. And okay, so I have to piggyback on that because I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So please, if you really want support, then look for a therapist that you resonate with,
right,
to also get support. So because sometimes our friends are like, you've already talked about that.
Right. Or to that, or to that end, and I'm just going to promote us for a minute. We do that work. I mean, we do similar work, but it's different, but we do similar work. So that's what we do with our mentoring services, our coaching, all that. So,
we offer that. We're here for support for all of you as well. So
that's why I started the one-on-one mentoring. And we also do, which I think, I just want to mention this now because we haven't done a video for a while, but to remind people that Celeste and I have a service where we will answer questions for you, but we will channel for approximately 15 minutes your soul journey. It includes past lives, it includes your star origin. We kind of start there. We bring through lives that are significant for you. Now, it's not all lives, obviously, but significant lives for you that you've had that tie to your current incarnation. And then we answer your questions. And so, again, this is another way to assist you on your journey of all the stuff we've just talked about today. And they are super powerful sessions and they're so much fun. And so you get a 50-minute recording of us going through that process for you so that you have more to really take forward in your journey as you travel it. So I just want to really promote that. And it's because they've been so powerful for people. So check out our website. You can go to my website, purplerainhealing.com, and do the contact me form. You can actually read about the actual soul journey. It's on the website, and then we'll get you scheduled. And oh my gosh, they've helped so many people, and they've been extremely popular. So did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah. Definitely reach out. I also have a website, CelesteRyanLCSW.com, and there's a contact form on there as well. And you can read about my services, and the soul journey is on there. And I have to say that it's one of the most favorite things that Carolyn and I love to do in our work together is this soul journey. It's so much fun. So much information comes through. It's super powerful, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, because we build off of each other's story. Like I'll start, well, it's just like what we're doing here. I mean,
What
same
we're
idea.
doing now.
And one thing I want to mention too, and I'm not going to give much detail because we don't have it firmed up, but Celeste and I are looking at doing some live, either Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, YouTube maybe, channeling. So we haven't figured out how to do that yet. We're just working on that, but we are really kind of jazzed now to just do some live channeling. And we'll keep you posted on that, because it'll just be a free for all, and we'll just come on and go, let's try this. And we think you'll have fun, and we'll let you know more about that as that kind of comes to to a head. So I think that's it for today, don't you?
I think it is.